Hey, this is Pastor Tom with North Glencoe Baptist Church, and you're watching Not Another Church Podcast. This is a weekly podcast featuring church staff and your host, Pastor Tom. So thanks for tuning in. Now, we said that there seems to be an issue in our culture with even using some masculine language, and there's an interesting verse in the Bible where Paul is talking to the Corinthian church, which he knew fully well was made up of men and women. He knew that there were guys that he was writing to and ladies, and yet he says, "Be watchful." In 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13, "Stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, let all that you do be done in love." And there's a pastor, actually he's a professor and writer at Wheaton, who wrote a series, and he used this text and said, "Act Like Men" was the series title. And the Twitter sphere blew up. In fact, one person, not having looked into it deeply enough, actually said, "Nowhere in the Bible does it tell us to act like men or act like women. We're supposed to act like Jesus," which he just immediately, cut and pasted this verse and said, "Act like men." Well, yes, we are commanded to. And so when Paul writes this, and I understand contextually that in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul juxtapositions childhood with manhood, not juxtapositioning manhood versus womanhood. So he says, when I was a child, I acted like a child. I did childish things. When I was a man, I acted like a man. I put away those childish things. And we instinctively know what the difference is of that. If I come in here into the sanctuary on a Wednesday night and there's 3 or 4 kids running around the sanctuary, which is almost guaranteed to be the case.
Yes.
I'm not going to flip out about that. I'm going to tell the kids, "All right, y'all get out of here, quit running around," and they're going to, sorry, and run out, and it's no big deal. If I were to come in here and I had 4 of my deacons running around throwing paper at each other,
I would hope
Which
you would
I would
record before you get on to it. Yes.
well, but you know what I mean. That would be, okay, somebody's lost their ever-loving marbles here.
Right, which is why we want a recording, yes.
Yes. Clearly, this is not right. So when Paul here says act like men, on one hand, I think he's saying stop acting like children, because we do, and a child is very self-involved, is very me-focused, and so what he's saying is don't do that. But I do think that he chose his words. He knew how to say act like an adult. There's a Greek word for adult. He says act like men, and he wants us to have in view all the best things about manhood that we look to. Courage, that idea of being a protector, that nobody, when I'm around, who's weaker is going to get run over. Kind of an idea. He wants the church to be the best of what it is in men. And I would say, as I have taught on this text, I have a hard time coming up with a popular example of what that means. Because when we say a man's man, we think in our mind, John Wayne, we think of examples that are hyper masculine, almost to the point of being bad.
Almost to a fault, yeah.
And so I don't know that our culture even knows what manhood means anymore. Because when you start talking about manhood, I think that most of the audience in their mind does have
they hunt.
A super macho, shut up woman and get me a sandwich idea that is not at all what the Bible's talking about.
Chew tobacco, hunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Work on a car.
Sit in the recliner while the wife does all the work.
Yes.
Yes.
A real man don't wash no dishes. You'll lose your man card if you get caught sweeping, kind of a thing.
And just so if you're listening, he doesn't mean that that's the way you should behave.
Well, hopefully we'll flesh that out.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
After these messages brought
Just
to you
remember,
by.
this could be part 1 or part 2.
Yeah.
But there's more.
So try to think in your mind of a popular culture example of good examples of manhood. And the silence is deafening.
Good examples of manhood.
In popular culture.
Popular culture. Yeah, in popular culture.
You don't have an X-Men example for me, Brian?
I don't really have an answer. I mean, could say Thor, or something crazy.
I have one that's not a good example of manhood, but it may be something to think a little more deeply about. Recently in the news, as we're recording this, there has been rioting that's been going on in America. There's all kinds of things that have happened in our culture. And there's a young man who got involved, and he has, through the process of being involved in one of the riots, ended up shooting and fatally killing.
Fatally killing as opposed to...
Sorry, not fatal killing. Yes, but he shot and killed two men. I know he shot
three.
a third. Did he kill a third?
I don't know that he...
I don't remember. Okay. Anyway, as it first comes out and all the details are pouring out, and everybody's speculating, and this is not an opinion, neither here nor there, about why he was there or what he was up to. But what I realized as people were going back and forth on Twitter feeds that I jumped on Facebook, jumped on Twitter, was kind of looking to see what the reaction was culturally to what had happened. And people were trying to defend him, and people were attacking him, and all sides were coming in and weighing in with what I consider to be valid points. But one of them was talking about the fact that he had gone into this area and in supposedly, again, I don't have all the details or facts, but gone in supposedly in defense of a business in an area that was not personally his or personally his family's. The comment that stuck with me as I walked away from having read all that was the fact that somebody said no one goes into an area just to help defend others. Why would he have gone in when it wasn't personal to him? And I thought about the illogic of that statement, because he's totally gotten rid of all security forces, whatever capacity they serve in the world. Whether you're talking military or, police in an area or anything like that. But this guy, it was a man. I actually clicked on it to see who it was, because I thought, who says that? But the fact that he said that and said that, nobody's going to go in without having a motive or a personal reason and step in to defend or protect others or their property. That was basically what he was saying. While that was very revealing of his heart, the one who made the comment, the more I thought about that, the more I realized, have we as a nation lost all sense of duty and nobility of character, and the idea that our men protect and provide for the culture in which they find themselves. And it just, like I said, it's been days ago that I read that. And that has constantly just kind of floated back through my mind as I realized that as a culture and as we have feminized America, that this guy felt like he had no role in helping to protect innocence. Now, whether this young man went in there for that reason or not, I cannot say. I don't know. That's not the point. But the fact that this other man commented such a thing on this incident left me astounded.
Yeah, that's a scary statement, because when you said that, I thought, well, what of firemen or policemen?
Any first responder, right? What we call first responders, police. What about National Guard? What about the people, that just step in, and that is what they do. They see their role as being a protector within our society.
And people may react to this and say, well, firemen and policemen are paid to do that, but the statistic is more than half of firemen in our country are volunteer.
Yeah.
They are people who do that to protect their community and to be able to work in their community. All right, with that, we end today's podcast. Thanks for watching Not Another Church Podcast with your host, Pastor Tom. We want to invite you to join us Sundays for small group at 9 a.m., worship services starting at 10 a.m., and you can find North Glencoe Baptist Church live each week on Facebook and our northglencoe.org website. If you miss church, no worries. Our past services are easily accessible. They're archived on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook. Make sure to stay up to date by following northglencoe.org. Go serve your King.